Greg?
Change of direction in Iraq. President Obama unveiling plans to pull most American troops out of the country by August 2010. Thousands of troops, perhaps as many as 50, will remain in an advisory role. This is a gradual pullout of American forces by the end of 2011. Here now to talk about the new strategy, Congressman Joe Sestak, a Democrat from Pennsylvania, member of the House Armed Services Committee, also a retired vice admiral who served in the U.S. Navy for 31 years. Thank you very much for being with us. This is right up your alley. What do you think of the plan?
I think it's good. I've wanted us to redeploy for some time because America's national security has actually been harmed by this war. Let me give two quick examples. Al-Qaeda 1 year ago was declared to have a safe haven in Pakistan by the head of the CIA, General Hayden. Number two, our Army for the last 4.5 years could not respond anywhere else in the world to another contingency. The Iraqis are finally going to accept responsibility for their country, but redeployment is the hardest thing to do for our Army. It took us to get 8,000 troops out of Somalia after Black Hawk Down back in the 90s. It took us 6 months. So doing this safely and deliberately, bringing troops home, and the right force being put in Afghanistan to deal with al-Qaeda is needed for our defense security overall.
What happens if the bad guys simply lie in wait until, we pull back? I mean, couldn't you eventually see instability and chaos resume in Iraq? And what then? Because our remaining forces are not going to be combat brigades.
That statement could probably be made 2 years from now, as it can be today. But what's an important indicator that it doesn't look like that will happen at all is that recent elections in Iraq, you noticed, had only 6% of the populace voting for the Shia party backed by the Iranians, where several years ago over 50% of the vote went to that party. This country has voted for stability. And so we will make sure that this redeployment is done, first of all, safely for our troops. But second, as the President has said, it's going to be done in a way that if it takes us to slow it down a bit, we will then do it. In the meantime, those forces are still going to be conducting the proper counterinsurgency activity needed to ensure that it's solid. This is a very wise and needed move for our own defense security.
Well, Odierno, Petraeus, CENTCOM, Joint Chiefs, they all agreed with it. They all signed on, so we'll wait and see. Representative Joe Sestak, thanks so much for being with us. Martha?
Thanks for having me, Greg, very much.
And here with more, we're joined now by Lieutenant Colonel Bob McGinnis, Fox News military analyst. Colonel, talk to me a little bit about how you view this move and how difficult it is to pull our troops out of there. I think everybody's so pleased with the progress that has happened there over the past 6 months or so. And I'm also curious if I could layer on one more question here. How important is it that we sort of exit this and have a plan for it before we figure out what needs to be done in Afghanistan?
Well, absolutely. We have to have a good plan. And I think, as the congressman said, Martha, we do have a good plan. Odierno, Petraeus, Mullen, and, of course, Secretary Gates, they all approved it. And it is incredibly difficult to do withdrawal, especially if it's under pressure. Now, clearly you're going to have what al-Qaeda can throw at us. Revolutionary Guards out of Iran will be unhelpful, and existing militia. But the temper of what's been going on has gone down significantly. And I think attributable to the surge, to some of the wisdom that President Bush brought to the forefront there, especially the last year and a half. But it will be difficult. We'll exfiltrate out of Turkey to a certain degree. A lot of our forces will go down through Kuwait. And, in fact, we'll probably keep at least one combat brigade in Kuwait, as we've had there since Desert Storm back in 1990-91. And they'll be able to react to complement any forces left behind that aren't able to really focus on or react to what may happen potentially in that country.
How concerned are you that, Iran might look at that situation? Greg was hinting at this just moments ago, or bringing it up with the congressman, that they might wait. It's always been a big concern that once we announced what our plan was, there would be folks who would wait and try to get in there. How vulnerable are some factions of Iraq to allowing them to interfere with their progress?
Well, there's no question that they're vulnerable, and of course, people like Muqtada al-Sadr and others that have various militia can be very unhelpful if, in fact, they think that they can take advantage of the situation.